fishing where the fish are. You know,
In those businesses that are not wholly owned, but maybe 85% owned, the 15% ownership, when there's massive investment within that business, how does that affect the ownership of the 15%?
take Nebraska Furniture Mart, owned by the parts of the Blumkin, and we didn't want to sell them. They love the business. They're very rich. They have an enormous portfolio of marketable securities within there, you know, that came out of money left in there 20%, because there was a lot of surplus money they've accumulated that's outside the furniture business. And it's very interesting. Warren says to those people, who he treats kind of like sons, you know, they live in the same community. And he lets them control the dividend policy of the company. Doesn't make much difference to us. The dividends are mostly tax-free. He says, whatever dividend policy, we own 80% of it. So he says to the minority owners, just choose the dividend policy with the whole company. whatever you want is fine with me. Warren's always doing things like that with the right people. So is Lelu. I tell you a story about Lelu that you will like. You know, General Electric was famous for always negotiating down to the wire. And just before they had closed, they'd have one final twist. And of course, it always worked. The other guy was all invested. So everybody feels robbed and cheated and mad. But they get their way at that last final twist. So Leo made a couple of venture capitalist investments with the field, and he made this one with this guy. They had made us a lot of money in a previous deal, and we're now going in with him again on another. Very high-grade guy and very smart and so forth. So now we come to the General Electric moment. Leo says, I have to make one change in this investment. It sounds just like General Electric, just about to close. I didn't tell you, he did it himself. He said, you know, this is a small amount of money to us, and you got your whole net worth in it. I cannot sign this thing if you won't let me put in a clause saying if it all goes to hell, we'll give you your money back. That was the change he wanted. Now you can imagine how likely we were to see the next venture capital investment. And nobody has to tell Lelu to do that stuff. Some of these people, it's in the gene power. It's just such a smart thing to do. It looks generous, and it is generous.
Is there a little
but it's also a huge self-interest now.
Is there a little reciprocity opportunity there?
What?
For that.
Well, it's the right way to behave anyway.
Yeah.
And the second way, it helps you. And Berkshire's helped by its past behavior to see things that other people don't see. But how many people would Sumner Redstone have ever done that? would General Electric have ever done that? They had a whole culture of behaving otherwise.
Ben Franklin talked about morality being the best policy, but then you see the Sumner Redstones and the Icons and the Trumps doing really well by acting kind of the opposite from
Yes.
you and Lelu. How do you reconcile that and still come out with the what no doubt is the correct answer, that it's wiser to be moral?
Well, of course, Sumner Redstone and I graduated from Harvard Law School about a year or so apart, and he ended up with more money than I did. So you can say he's the success, but that's not the way I look at it. And so I don't think it's just a financial game, and it's I think it's better to do it the other way. And sometimes you think you're getting by with this, but General Motors has a letter they file out when they take something over. The letter says, Dear Joe Schmo, major supplier to this business they've just bought, we're going to accomplish wonderful things together, and we blah, 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 blah. But we have to harmonize the systems of General Electric with blah, 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 blah. And you're going to be paid in 90 days instead of 30 days, which is just horrible imposition on the supplier. But they got a whole department that's just organized to brutalize the suppliers into furnishing all the money. They did that with one supplier that I know, and course, the sales manager said, well, I don't tell them to go fuck themselves. And the guy said, no, I won't do that. He says, just bring me all the stuff where General Electric is my customer, where they've got no alternative. And he just raised the prices by about 4 times.
How'd you feel about
No,
Berkshire buying into GE?
I think it's a mistake to be quite that brutal. Now they compete in GE based on who can get the suppliers to furnish more and more of the capital. They're very tough. Now it's a great company with great products, and they've got some very good people. I think Jeff Immelt was a good guy, but I would be very uncomfortable doing that. My theory of life is win-win. I want suppliers that trust me, and I trust them, and I don't want to screw the suppliers as hard as I can.
So how did you feel when Berkshire bought the GE pipe?
Well,
How did you feel when Berkshire put money into GE in the crisis?
it was fine. It was sure to work. It was a high coupon, and it did work. When we buy something like that, we're not making a big moral judgment about the company. I don't think GE's that immoral. Averaged out, GE's one of our better companies. In terms of fanaticism about defect absence, and they're very good on that stuff.
Charlie, in your book, you said one of your